Welcome back. So fuel prices are set to drop at midnight for a fifth consecutive month. Obviously, that's good news for motorists. However, many South Africans are still struggling to afford basic household items. So what does this decrease in the petrol price mean for fuel costs? Let's try and understand this and bring in our guest. Sibusiso Mboto is a project coordinator with the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group and joins us via our video link this morning. Sibusiso, great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to SABC News. And I suppose that's really a good place to start. I mean, we're seeing a number of consecutive fuel price drops, but it still feels that food prices aren't affordable.
No, I'm afraid, despite the decreases that we've seen on fuel, nothing much has happened. In fact, there is every suggestion that food prices continue to be unaffordable for many average households out there.
How do we make sense of this? Because, of course, the price of fuel is an operational cost, I imagine, for farmers and retailers who ultimately pass on that cost to the consumer. But if that particular cost is going down, surely prices should follow suit.
One of the things that you sometimes note with the logistics industry is when there's been some kind of a decrease in the fuel price, is that you'll feel the effect thereof way down the line, months, weeks and months after that has happened. Unfortunately, in this instance, it means that if there were to be any decreases, you would probably see them weeks from now. And again, you would hope that it's because you would continue to have a stronger rand and lower fuel prices, therefore making it easier for goods to move. Probably then you feel the effect thereof as a consumer of food in November and December. But the problem is, with all of that, it still means that a person and a family that needs immediate relief is still feeling the effect thereof of the high food costs, I'm afraid. Because whilst the fuel is going down, it doesn't really mean that salaries have suddenly gone up, therefore matching the food prices. There is that disjuncture that you have. And its effect is that many families continue to battle when it comes to feeding their families.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's a moment for us in the media to reflect, because often how this news around the fuel price hike is, fuel price decrease is delivered, is that it's been branded as relief for South African households. But the sense I'm getting from you actually is that if a household has people, for example, who use taxis where the taxi fare isn't going down and food prices aren't going down, sometimes these decreases are actually immaterial for them.
In fact, having been a taxi commuter myself, I can safely say that I've come across a situation where when fuel prices are going down, you get to a point where the taxi industry will say, we are now dropping the taxi fares. They remain consistent for quite a while before increasing. They never go down. And therefore, any of the changes in the fuel prices, decreases in fuel prices, are never really going to be felt by your average commuter who uses a taxi on a regular basis. That's the real. That's what really happens. That's the experience.
And what's the kind of theoretical reading into this, Sibusiso? I mean, is this because of the lags of our capitalist system? In other words, this is just how the markets go? Or are we finding actually that players in this economic system are the ones who are hoarding the benefits of something like these fuel price drops because, frankly, they want to increase their own profits.
You've heard in many circles, especially within politics, where there is talk that there needs to be a national conversation on this issue and that issue. And I think this is one such issue where there really needs to be a national discussion and conversation as to if, as and when there's a decrease, whether it's a repo rate, whether it's an oil price decrease. When does it get to a point where a consumer gets immediate relief, especially those at the very bottom of the scale? Because such a grouping does not really have any cushion that they can rely on when something like this happens. And therefore, the system itself needs a relook, and it's going to be, we need to have that frank conversation that's going to give you immediate results, tangible results, so that we are not seen to be people and individuals that just speaks in space where we seem to be out of touch with the realities of people on the ground.
Absolutely. We have to ask the question around who the economy serves if, as you mentioned, people on the ground don't seem to benefit from these indicators, especially when they're headed, we seem to say, in the right direction. Sibusiso Mboto, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. We appreciate your time and your insights on the SABC. Sibusiso is a project coordinator with the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group.